Hello and welcome to the dungeon. I'm your host Rob. In today's video we're going to be taking a look at how to make Iron Man. I figured we'll start with Iron Man because he's kind of the guy who essentially launched and started the modern version of the MCU. And yes, the MCU's kind of lost a little of its luster, fallen on hard times so to speak of late, but you know, we're going to talk about the glory days here with good old Iron Man. There's a few ways you could do this. The laziest, and in my opinion, worst way, would just be to go Tempest Domain Cleric, and you get, you know, things that call lightning, and you get flight at level 17, concentration free. But that really doesn't capture the essence of Iron Man, even though you could wear heavy armor. We all know there's really one way to do it, and it would be to go Artificer. Especially Armorer Artificer. This was basically designed to just be Iron Man, let's be honest. However, I will be taking a slight multi-class dip into Warlock, just because I want Eldritch Blast with Repelling Blast, and we might as well grab Agonizing Blast while we're there, because, you know, they're repulsor rays. They push things back. And yeah, you could go Infiltrator and take the lightning attack, but A, it's just not as good a damage, and it doesn't really capture that actual essence of force damage that the repulsor rays are doing. So we're going to start with Artificer so we can get our concentration saving throws, because we'll get Constitution and Intelligence saves as our bonus, or as our like baseline, which is going to give us nice concentration saves, like I said. And then we're going to take our first level there. We're probably going to grab, I would say for cantrips, Guidance and probably Mending. And I'm going to kind of reskin Guidance as being like basically Jarvis, you know, telling me how to do things, or inspiring people how to do things, or whatever other AI you want to use. But I'm probably going to, you know, do a lot of that. For my first level spells, I'm probably going to grab Absorb Elements and maybe one of like the movement spells. We could take Long Strider, we could take Expeditious Retreat, or I might grab Cure Wounds. We do see Iron Man sometimes use like nanotechnology to help people out. Oh, by the way, I don't know that I necessarily want to just like be Tony Stark. I'm more trying to make a character inspired by Iron Man, who kind of does a lot of the same things. However, if you just decide, you know what, I kind of want to be Tony Stark, I'm going to take, you know, Variant Human, start with a feat, you know, that is fine too. But I think that for the race, I would probably still go Variant Human just because it's one of the best. But you don't have to. You know, feel free to play whatever race you want to play. If you want to be more like kind of Iron Man-ish and inspired by him in a different setting rather than just trying to basically be him, right? Background, again, I think that like Guild Artisan, I think it's called, is a great choice. Noble kind of helps to replicate the privilege and wealth that Tony came from. Not that he's nobility, but you know what I mean. You know, so I think there's some options there. But again, if you're just looking to be inspired by it, pick whatever you want. If you are starting with a bonus feat, Alert's pretty good. Hard to go wrong there. Although I will probably take the Helm of Awareness at level 10 Artificer, which does make me not subject to being surprised. So there could be some overlap there. But if you want to take like Lucky or whatever else you want to take, feel free, right? Anyways, those are going to be basically what I'm getting at Artificer. Artificer is rather unique among the half-casters because we're rounding up on our spellcasting levels rather than rounding down. So we will have spells right at level 1. From here, I'm just going to go into Warlock. I'm going to grab my 2 levels of Warlock, and then we're going to go back to Artificer. We could get really complex and throw in other classes with other levels and stuff, but I kind of like the idea of just going all Artificer from here on out. So we're going to get our 2 levels of Warlock, and like I said, these aren't really mandatory, but Eldritch Blast, not only does it capture the feel of Iron Man, it just does so much better damage than half the other like single target spells that we could possibly be getting, and it's a cantrip, which makes it, you know, infinitely usable. And, you know, if we're grabbing Repelling Blast, we might as well grab Agonizing Blast. Also, if you are trying to be Tony Stark, the fact that he has high intelligence and high charisma definitely fits him as a character a lot. You know, You might think, yeah, but we're not using our charisma for anything as an artificer. Well, that's true, but we're using it for Eldritch Blast, so, keep that in mind. Anyways, as far as what patron I want, I'm kind of tempted to go Genie, but honestly, I'll probably just go Hexblade again. Hexblade is just, it gives us too much, especially in this case, the shield spell, which is not available to the Artificer. And it is a pretty handy spell to have. So, grabbing shield and maybe like Armor of Agathys or Hex, you could always pretend that Hex is just your targeting computer helping you to hit the weak points on the enemy so it does a little more damage, something like that. I think those are pretty good. As far as like whatever other cantrips you wanted, feel free to, take whatever. The only one I would really see as absolutely mandatory in this case would be Eldritch Blast. But you could even take like a Booming Blade or a Green Flame Blade if you want to be like meleeing guys a lot. You could be doing that too, right? So, use your own discretion. Anyways, next we're going back to Artificer. So by now we're level 4, but we've only got 2 levels of Artificer. This is going to give us Infused Item. We can make our Enhanced Arcane Focus, which is going to give us +1 to our spell attack rolls. Pretty nice with Eldritch Blast, right? We could also grab like Enhanced Defense, Armor of Magical Strength, or Homunculus Servant. I kind of like the idea of Homunculus Servant and just use it as like some of Tony's little like drones and helper robots that he has. I think that's kind of a neat idea. So I like that one quite a bit. Again, though, use whatever is going to, best fit your idea of the character, right? Some of these choices I'm going to make are because they kind of fit the character, not because they're necessarily the most powerful or, the best choices to make. So if you're just like, yeah, I get that fits, but I want to take this instead, it's your character. Feel free, Anyways, at Artificer 3, level 5, we'll just talk Artificer 3 though, we're getting our subclass, which in this case, we're going to go Armorer. We're also getting Right Tool for the job. And Armorer is going to also give us some additional spells, which are on our spell list, but don't count against our spells known, which are going to include Magic Missile and Thunder Wave. I like Magic Missile here because we do see times where Tony like fires off lots of little missiles. That's kind of cool. It fits as well, right? And Thunder Wave, again, for a first level spell, it's pretty decent. Anyway, Armorer, we have our choice of going Infiltrator or Guardian. I get that Infiltrator has like the cool lightning attack, which really feels very Repulsor Ray-ish. But it's just so much worse than Agonizing Blast that I'm just going to go Guardian instead. It's just so much worse. Oh, it's so disappointing. Anyways, level 4, we're going to get our ASI. I'm going to bump my Charisma because that's what we're doing the majority of our attacking with. Level 5, we're going to get extra attack. Nice. Well, I mean, Artificer 5. You all understand what I mean. We're actually level 7. But we're also getting second level spells. I think Dark Vision, Heat Metal, Levitate, so we can try to simulate flying because we don't really have flying yet. Pyrotechnics, those are all pretty good options. We're also getting Mirror Image and Shatter for free from Armorer. Level 6, we're getting Tool Expertise. We also have some new magical items we can make, but we're going to go over that at the end of the video. We'll talk about all those different options. Level 7, we're getting Flash of Genius, which is also excellent. This is one of the best abilities we get. Unfortunately, because we're pumping our Charisma right now, we're only going to be limited to probably 16 Intelligence, giving us 3 uses of it per long rest. But eventually we'll pump our Intelligence, and we'll be able to make full use of Flash of Genius. We're also getting Scorching Ray and Shatter. And, these aren't bad either, right? Especially if we have Hex, damage on Scorching Ray can start to, really add up, right? Especially if we upcast it, Level 8, we're getting another ASI, and at this point, we're going to max our Charisma. So, hopefully, we started with, 16 Intelligence, 16 Charisma. That's my assumption here, of course. Maybe it's not, but whatever. We're going to try to get our Charisma max as soon as possible, right? Level 9, we're getting third level spells. This gives us Fly, pretty nice. Haste, Tiny Servant, again, fitting that kind of created drones type of feel, right? Revivify, if we want to use the nanobot type, reskinning of things. And water breathing if we need water breathing. We're also getting the armor modifications ability, we'll talk about that in a moment from our subclass. At level 10, we're getting Magic Item Adept. We can now tune up to 4 magical items, which is very nice. And we also have the ability to craft some better items, including the Helm of Awareness that I mentioned earlier, which I would definitely be looking to probably use. It also gives us advantage on initiative rolls, not just the fact that we can't be surprised. So, very handy because we probably don't have a great dex score. We probably went, at least I personally would have gone like Intelligence, Charisma, and Con, which, we are wearing heavy armor, so the dex doesn't really matter much. We don't need strength requirements for our heavy armor because we're an armorer, so, that's okay. And wisdom because something had to go. You can't have everything in life. 11, we get our spell storing item ability. We're also getting Fireball and Wind Wall from our subclass. At level 12, we got those at level 9. Sorry, for some reason I have those written down at level 11, but that's character level 11. We got those at level 9 for Artificer. So sorry about that. I'm misinformation here. Anyways, level 12, we're getting an ASI, and now we're going to start bumping our intelligence. Level 13, we're getting our 4th level spells. I would probably like Arcane Eye. Again, we're going to reskin it as like a spy drone thing. Fabricate, that's like the most Iron Man-ish thing ever, just making stuff out of other stuff. And I like Summon Construct as well. We do see different times in the movies where Tony's summoning like his other armored suits and just like remote piloting them essentially, and they're helping him fight. And I kind of like that idea. Plus, Summon Constructs is just a really good spell in general, so hard to go wrong with that one. We're also getting Ice Storm and Wall of Fire. Nothing wrong with any of those either. At level 14 Artificer, we're getting Magic Item Savant. We can now tune up to 5 items at once, and we can ignore restrictions from things like race, class, etc., which is really fun when things like, Staff of the Magi drop, and the wizard's like, woohoo, Staff of the Magi, it's all mine. And you're like, well, wait a minute, I could roll on that too. 20, D20, highest roll. Oh, you got a 4 and I got a 17. Staff of the Magi. There used to be an old joke in World of Warcraft that every weapon was a hunter weapon. This is when every item becomes an artificer item. It's like, oh, that's cleric only. Well, guess what? I can use that. I do not suggest you do that, by the way, but it is pretty funny to think about. Level 15, we're getting Perfected Armor from our subclass. Level 16, we're getting another ASI, so now we're finally going to max our intelligence, which is also going to help our spell save DC and things like that, right? At level 17, we're getting 5th level spells finally, so I kind of like Animate Objects just because it's a good spell, and it kind of fits. Creation, for the same reason as I like Fabricate. Greater Restoration, again, nanobots. We could take Wall of Stone, but our subclass is going to give us Cone of Cold and Wall of Force, and Wall of Force is generally just better. That being said, if you really like Wall of Stone better, feel free to take it, but we do have limited spell slot selections here, so I kind of like just taking Wall of Force, which is usually better anyways, and we're getting it for free, so, pretty hard to pass on free. And then finally, at level 18, Artificer, plus our 2 levels of Warlock, it's going to be level 20, assuming we ever get that high. We're going to get Magic Item Master, which allows us to attune ourselves to 6 items at once. Now, yes, it's unfortunate we're never going to get the +6 to all of our saving throws that level 20 would have given us. That is a great ability. But as I've already alluded to, most campaigns don't go this high anyway, and even though +6 to all my saving throws is spectacular, I kind of just like the idea of having Agonizing Blast right from level 3 up. That's going to give us a lot of mileage, compared to an ability that we're not going to get until the final level of the game. Anyways, as far as replicated items we could be making, right? Level 2, we've got some options here. Bag of Holding doesn't really fit the Iron Man theme, but Bag of Holding is just really handy to have and very nice. Goggles of Night, though, especially if we went human, this could be pretty handy. And Sending Stones are actually kind of handy as well. Nice to have, right? At level 6, we get some more options. None of the items we can really make on the main list really stand out. I mean, the Lantern of Revealing is kind of nice, I guess. However, we do get some items that we can specifically make for artificers, which give us things like the repulsion shield, which I like quite a bit, and the spell refueling ring, allowing us to regain one of our spell slots. I mean, it's only like first, second, and third level, I believe, or maybe it's only first and second level. I can't remember. But either way, it is really, really good. And, you know, just being able to get back some of those low level spells, because that's basically all we have are low level spells, right? This can be really, really handy. It's also worth noting that at high levels, even though we're not going to have like, well, higher levels, right? Even though we're not going to have like a ton of high level spells or even a ton of spell slots in general, we do have, let's say we want to just cast shield a bunch. That's all we're planning on doing with our first level spell slots for the most part, right? We could potentially have 4 first level spell slots from Artificer and 2 more from Warlock that are coming back on a short rest. I mean, we could literally be casting shield 6 to 12 times a day, which is a big boost to your armor class and your survivability in general. Then we've also got things like absorb elements, which we might want to use, right? Depending on the situation. So we should have, you know, pretty good situation there. Anyways, at level 10, we can make winged boots, which give us concentration free flight. Unlike the spell, though, which gives us a movement of 60 feet, this is only 30 feet. But, I mean, just concentration free flight forever, you know, it's pretty hard to beat. And even with the 2 levels of Warlock, we're getting this at level 12, which is actually pretty achievable in a lot of campaigns. A lot of them go to like 12, 13, 14 type range, you know, so you could have that permanent flight, basically. And, you know, that's a lot sooner than we would have gotten it just by going Tempest Domain Cleric, for example. Wing Boots will require attunement, but of course we'll have so many attunement items at this point, it doesn't really matter to us that much, right? Eventually we're going to have 6 items. Other things we could make that are pretty handy here. Cloak of Protection. Yes, Iron Man doesn't wear a cloak, we all know that. But if you're just trying to be inspired by Iron Man, the Cloak of Protection is a pretty good item. Maybe not in, you know, canon though, right? So, but whatever. You've got the Gauntlets of Ogre Power, potentially. But if we're attacking with Charisma and we're mostly doing range attacks or just using our Gauntlets as our exploit weapon, then I don't know how much we really need the Gauntlets of Ogre Strength, but it would give us a lot more carrying capacity, which can be pretty nice. And Iron Man is pretty strong, so we can kind of simulate that a little bit there, right? We could also get things like Ring of Mind Shielding, which can potentially be rather nice as well. The main thing, though, that here I'm looking for is the Winged Boots. That's the big draw here. Level 14, we open up some more items, such as the Amulet of Health. This can be pretty handy. I believe it sets our Constitution to 19. I should have looked it up before I made this video, but just going by memory, I think it sets our Constitution to 19. Which, you know, if we had, like, say, a 14 con at the beginning, that is a pretty massive boost. It's pretty handy. It's going to give us a better spell save, a better concentration saving throw bonus, more hit points, you know, all that, right? Better con saves in general, really. We could also make a Ring of Protection, and unlike the Cloak, that will fit the theme a lot better. We could also make a Belt of Hill Giant Strength, again, kind of doing what we were thinking about with the Gauntlets of Ogre Power, but once again, not absolutely necessary, at least not in my opinion. As for some of the armor abilities themselves, right? So this is kind of why I decided to go Guardian, right? Like the Infiltrator, if you want to go Infiltrator, by the way, I don't blame you. I think that it has some really nice abilities as well. It has extra movement speed, not just the, you know, fake repulsor ray things. There are some pretty strong options there, right? But, I don't know. In general, I just really like the idea of the Eldritch Blast repulsor rays a lot better. So, if you want to go that route, you can. If we're going my route, let's talk a little bit about the Guardian, right? So, at level 3, we're going to get ourselves our Thunder Gauntlets. So, whenever we strike somebody using the Gauntlets, we do 1d8 Thunder damage on a hit. Creature hit by the Gauntlet has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you until the start of your next turn. This is pretty nice. It helps you to just, you know, help other people not get hit. And direct attacks against you with your heavy armor. We also have the defensive field, so as a bonus action, you gain temporary hit points equal to your level in this class, replacing any temporary hit points you already have. You'll lose your temporary hit points if you doff the armor, but why would we do that? You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to proficiency bonus. Again, this is nice because it's not being impacted by our warlock levels at all. Although we only have 2 warlock levels, but still, it's not putting us back any there. Overall, I think it's pretty good. The Infiltrator's nice too. The lightning launcher is okay. Obviously, the powered steps for the extra 5 feet of movement. More movement's never a bad thing. And the disrupting field, the dampening field, basically gives us advantage on stealth, but if we're wearing heavy armor, it's just negated, so we're rolling normally. I think it's better than rolling with disadvantage, and we could be pretty stealthy, but in general, that's not the way I would personally go. So our armor modifications build, we've got 9. This one's pretty good too, because the armor now counts as like separate pieces of armor, or separate items, sorry, for our infusions, right? Because normally it'd just be your armor, and it can only hold the 1 infusion, because you can't put more than 1 infusion on 1 item. But now you can suddenly start like breaking up, like, oh, well, my helm counts as an item, I'm going to put an infusion on that, and a chest piece counts as an item, I'm going to put an infusion on that. Or my boots count as a different item, I'm going to put an infusion on that, right? So that's pretty handy. You also gain more infusions you can put on to your items, but they specifically have to go onto the armor. But again, that's not a bad thing. You could just have like pretty much every piece of your armor with separate infusions. So, nothing wrong with that. At level 15, we're going to be getting benefits of either the Guardian or the Infiltrator. Again, I like the Guardian. So whenever a huge or smaller creature you can see enters a turn within 30 feet of us, we can use our reaction to magically force the creature to make a strength saving throw against our spell save DC, pulling the creature up to 30 feet forward to an unoccupied space towards you. If you pull to within 5 feet of you, you can make a melee attack weapon against it as part of this reaction. So I kind of like that. You can use this reaction a number of times, equal to proficiency bonus, and regain them all on a long rest. Again, it's not bad. You can try to like pull stuff in you, make free attacks against them. It's okay. Infiltrator is also good though. The lightning launcher, just gets even better. Overall, it's hard to go wrong with either one. But like I said, I kind of feel like the Guardian suited what I was looking to do more. I do like the idea of just using my gauntlets as my Hexblade packed weapon. And, touching those, or single-hand melee weapon, just punching guys with my gauntlet, doing my D8 thunder damage, but using charisma to attack with. Nothing wrong with that. Overall, I don't think it's like the most imaginative or the most complicated build out there, but I think it's pretty fun and pretty effective, and I think it kind of captures a lot of the feel of that character while still gaining a lot of the big abilities that the Artificer has to offer. Getting like the infusions, getting more attunement slots, things like that, which are some of the big draws, at least to me, of the Artificer. And Flash of Genius is an amazing ability that, you don't know how good the ability is until you've had an Artificer in your campaign and he's just using it all the time, and you're like, oh man, this ability is amazing. So, overall, I think it's pretty solid though. And that's basically everything I have. Feel free to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and of course, leave me your comments in the comment section. I'd love to hear other people's ideas for how they would build Iron Man, or suggestions for other people they'd like to see me build. We did the Darkness quite some time ago. That was like a subscriber request. And I just thought that, some more of these kind of builds would be fun. By the way, I don't want us to be comic characters, People could do like any other kind of build they wanted to, right? If someone's like, how would you do Conan the Barbarian? Because he's pretty sneaky. He's not just a barbarian, And you're like, yeah, that's true. Good point. He has a lot of thieving skills in there, If you wanted to do, whatever. Look, those could be fun videos. Anyways, I wanted to just kind of get back to kind of doing some of these build videos because I personally find them kind of fun. And it's a neat thought process for me to like try to figure it out, and how would I do this and how would I do that, or I kind of like this or I kind of like that. And even like I'd actually forgotten that spells like Fabricate and Creation even exist because I barely ever use them. And then when I'm looking through the Artificer list, I'm like, oh man, these are so perfect for Iron Man. like tailor-made for him basically. So anyways, that's everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.